That's all right.
Yeah, it's too late for
Go
Facebook.
live anyway.
Next time, just hit it. Or just go.
I didn't think about it.
It's just for Facebook.
Can I remove it?
Yeah.
Okay. Facebook. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so
You
here, do you
don't
want the mouse?
Do you want that one on or that one
I guess.
off? And I can.
You're okay, I guess.
On.
What's
and I can
on?
brighten it. I can.
What's happening?
He's just adjusting a light. That looks better with it on.
Oh,
yeah.
he definitely needs a light for his face for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
I can add more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there
much
you go.
better.
Oh, there you
Here.
go.
See,
2021.
I know this business. I can do it.
Are you ready?
What microphone are you using?
I'm using straight into my laptop.
This is a laptop mic.
No earbuds or
I can get earbuds.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's try that. Sorry. Look how picky we are.
It just sounds like he's in a coffin or something, like, or in a box.
I don't feel bad about her. Oh, you know what? We're streaming this, so.
Yeah. Okay. So when we start, or when we're ready to go, you wanna start with this?
Yeah, like we normally do.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause sometimes you're like, oh, let's just go cold. But that's for the Relax Friday show, right?
Yeah.
Oh, riddle evening.
That's what happens when you work with somebody that's a recording engineer as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's this guy's got a music thing. He's got all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna talk to him about it.
All right. Let's see.
If it's gonna be a weird thing where it messes things up, we won't worry about it. I just thought if there was something quick we could do to improve the audio.
Yeah, I gotta adjust my earbuds here. So let's see. It goes into my Finder. And earbuds. Let's see. Earbuds. How do I get my earbuds to connect with my laptop?
Whoops. We don't want that.
I wish I could remember.
We do want that though.
Yeah.
How do I get this off full screen?
Escape. Okay, that.
Okay.
Let's see, where are my earbuds?
It's a little. You're on a MacBook Pro.
MacBook Air.
MacBook Air. Yeah, they should probably have up at the top left. There's a little Bluetooth.
Top right, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, top right. There's a little Bluetooth signal right next to the Wi-Fi. You could connect to that.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry about it. We can just start.
Okay.
I'm weird because I get nitpicky when I'm fixing it, and then someone goes to do it, and I'm like, oh, just never mind.
You just stopped. You could have just stopped with "I'm weird."
So weird.
Okay.
But that's a musical. I cannot. I hope they don't. They're gonna remake Grease eventually. I can't stand Rocky Horror Picture Show or Grease.
What? I've never actually seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, believe it or not.
Oh my God, I've seen it live.
I know. I feel like I'd need to see it live instead of.
I would prefer, if I'm gonna see a musical, I'd rather see it live. It's weird in a movie. It works on a stage.
Oh yeah, he has a musical thing. He wouldn't go see West Side Story.
I like all the musicals I've ended up liking. I saw. What did he say?
I don't know. What'd you say?
I said I saw it the other night, Wednesday night. I saw a premiere with Steven.
Oh, with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, and Kevin McCullum. Kevin McCullum and I went to USC.
Yeah,
so I got invited to a special screening.
I just saw it at the West Oaks Mall in Ocoee, Florida. So
awesome, awesome.
It's not the same. Spielberg was not there.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I was only there with 9 other people. So.
Did he check his name?
Yeah, he checked it. I had him
Okay.
check it. All right. Are you ready? We're ready if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
So I'm gonna.
You want
We're
glasses
gonna-
on or glasses off? Does it bother you?
It doesn't bother me either way.
Okay.
We're gonna start on this full screen graphic right here, and then we'll count it down and come in, and then it'll be just me and him for a second. Then
Yeah, I'm gonna take him
we'll
off.
call you in.
So we
Perfect.
won't be able to hear you until we introduce you.
Got it.
Okay.
All right. See ya. Ready?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Beep-de-be-doo.
Here
Beep-de-be-doo.
goes. Here goes Emma.
Beep-de-be-doo-doo.
We've just said something funny. Ha 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 ha. Film Reverie, take 108.
Action!
Okay.
Hey!
Hello. Hello, Film Reverie listeners. This is Michael Beckemeyer, and I'm, as always, joined by the balding Ewok,
Yeah.
Mr. Pleasantville
Yep.
himself.
Always wonderful to be
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
I'm the man when you want the happiness sucked out of you. That I'm the guy you want.
Today on our show, Film Reverie, we have Marvin Glover, a filmmaker, producer, filmmaker, musician. He's got all kinds of stuff we're going to talk to him about. That I met at a recent film festival in Orlando, Florida. I was just walking by, and I thought, I came in to see a friend's screening, and I was sneaking out, and I was like, I feel weird not even talking to any filmmakers while I'm here. And then he was just sitting outside, looked like he was trying to collect his thoughts, and I interrupted that, and we had a
Yeah.
nice little 15 or 20 minute chat. And I was glad that I stopped by and talked to you because you had a lot of cool stuff going on. So
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here, and it's good to catch up.
good to catch up. So tell everybody a little bit about who are you, where are you from, where are you at, all that stuff.
Here's my boilerplate synopsis background summary of myself. My name is Marvin Glover. I'm a musician, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a creative, I'm a legal professional, and I'm a superhuman.
Take notes, Brad. Hey, are you a legal professional? What does that mean?
Yeah, I have a background in law. I specialize in intellectual property, so all the stuff I want to protect.
Okay.
So anything that your mind is creating is IP, whether it be protected through a patent, through a copyright, through a trademark. I'm the guy you go to put it all together. And
Okay, cool.
I'm a member of the Beverly Hills Bar Association, so that's the kind of legal aspect. And then my music side, I'm a part of the Recording Academy, aka the Grammys, and then I'm affiliated with the PGA, which is the Producers Guild of America on the film side. So
Jeez. How'd you get time to do all that stuff?
I don't sleep.
So when I met you a few weeks ago, still
Yeah.
it was a month or two ago, month and a half ago, you told me you had several films in development in different various phases of financing or release or development, and
Sure.
I think what sparked what had me latch on to that is the fact that Brad and I are currently going through financing process of really truly financing our first film. We've produced films and short films, and we made a feature film on our own, but you had this whole so we're like, we can't do it that way anymore. We need to actually officially raise some money so that we can be more thorough in our filmmaking process and give our
Right.
movie a little bit more of a chance to be seen by people other than me and Brad and the people that worked on it. But you have this I guess you've done it so many times that you had this whole system, I guess, for
Sure.
getting a film financed.
Yeah,
For
and there's,
the
and there's more
process
than
of-
one system,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's not cookie cutter. There's never just one specific way you're doing stuff.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways. It depends on the project, and I call it reverse engineering. I think like anything, you could just reverse engineer and figure out where you want to go.
So tell us a little bit about it. You're in the middle of financing a couple films right now? Getting a
Sure,
couple
we're
films
always financing projects.
Always, yeah.
So there's always a slate of projects. Things are in the slate, so they have a priority, they have an order, and a sequence, and then things are in a state of flux according to where you have ebbs and flows.
Right.
And I would say that regarding of what you feel that you're going to achieve, if you're going to do a film within a budget range of $1 million or 700,000 or 500,000 or 250,000, then you're working with this parameters. And so if you know how to reverse engineer, it's kind of like that's already established because you're working within the confines of a structure or a system.
Yeah.
So if you are doing a SAG-based project, or if you're doing a non-SAG union-based project, then that separates the tiers of what you need to do and how you're going to do it. So that's going to lay down the guidelines or put down the rails for what you have to work or color between the lines.
Right.
Can you give me an example of like what I just realized that not everyone might completely understand what you mean by reverse engineering. Can you give me an example of how you might go about reverse engineering?
Sure. So we'll just take you guys for an example. So instead of doing a hypothetical, I will take you through a session with what your project is. Okay. So what is the goal for your next project?
We would like it to be released into distribution somehow, and much more visible than any of our other films.
Yeah, more a bigger budget.
Yeah.
And wider release.
So you could say like profitable in some way.
Yeah.
Like 2 to 3 times, return on investment
so,
sort of thing.
So given that you want distribution, there are certain indicators that you're going to need to do to get distribution.
Yeah.
So what is the genre of your film?
It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
pretty sure.
You're pretty sure? You're not
sure?
You
looked at me like, yeah, that's what it is.
Well, when I looked at him, I didn't mean it's a horror movie in that my life is a horror movie. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. But subconsciously.
Our movie is also a horror movie. Not just mine.
Yeah. Now I get it. So knowing that you want to distribute something and you know it's a horror film, then you want to start looking at how you're going to distribute that horror film.
Yeah.
And what type of distributors distribute horror.
Yeah.
That's really the kind of the base. And once you're operating from that plane, it's like, okay, this is the type of film, this is the genre, and these are the people that get it to the platforms or to the source that gets it out to the public, then that's going backwards.
Right.
And then you would go into what's your budget range? Is this going to be a union project or a non-union project? That's a question.
I just realized that there's a on-demand paid channel that's all horror movies. Shudder.
Yeah.
So that might be a great place to look at for possible.
You need to read our business plan.
Like instead of Netflix.
It's in there.
I got like 80% of the way through.
You're like, I know all this.
Then we had a meeting.
Yeah. So our budget range is well, it's weird because if someone handed me $100,000 and said go make a movie, I'd say okay. But when we're like setting it up and figuring out how much we think we're going to need to make the thing, it's way more. It ends up being way more, but $150,000.
So that means you're filming. You're going to make it for $50,000 to $75,000.
Yeah.
I mean, in essence, because it's going to take you that equivalent to market it yourself.
Right.
And that's the piece that people often forget. It's like, how are you going to get eyeballs on this film? If you don't market it, nobody's going to see it regardless if you made a film for $5 or $500,000.
Yeah. It's crazy because that is actually the reason we wanted to finance a film, is because in the past when we've shoestringed our film together from beginning to end, which we can do and have done to some varying degrees of success, you know how filmmaking goes.
Of course,
but what we didn't have when we were done was a way to tell people about it, and that's other than Twitter, which doesn't.
I mean, we're all kind of going backwards to how I distinguish myself going into this industry. I went to USC film school, so so I had the best of the best education. It's the number one film school in the world. So I had that to lay down as the foundation for my credentials and my resume. And from there, within that confine of the USC orbit, you're deciding what track of the industry you want to go in. Do you want to go into production? Do you want to go into direction? Do you want to go into producing? Do you want to be a screenwriter? And then from there, you decide, okay, if I'm going to go into the studio system, aka a studio, I'm going to go work for Warner Brothers. I'm going to go work for Paramount. I'm going to go work for Sony. I'm going to go work for Universal. And then there's avenues for you to go in and work your way through an internship. The studios work hand in hand with USC. And
Hmm.
so, those doors are available to those alums in that network. So that's a
Yeah.
given. But most of my classmates wanted to go that route. Now, having had a career in advertising and marketing, after having a career in legal, and then having a career in film, I knew that I did not want to go and work into the studio system. I know how the system works, but I didn't want it. As coming into school and film later in life, I did not need to go work for assistant and spend 20 years with them being over me until they went on and gave me
Yes.
my opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
knew how to set up an LLC. I knew how to market and advertise a film and project. I knew how to write and score music. I knew
yeah.
how to put together deals. So I didn't need permission or that enhanced kind of support through a studio system learning environment to advance.
Yeah.
I just went straight right in, set up my production company, and went to work.
Yeah. And you get to be your own lawyer. That's crazy. Those are
Yeah.
expensive. Those guys are
Well,
expensive.
it's just not being my own lawyer. It's just,
Yeah.
I know how to be my own advocate. And I have an attorney, but my attorney is really my mentor.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they look at my stuff and they give me feedback, but it's like, I'm not going to start self-representing myself because, I am not an attorney. I'm a paralegal.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm practicing as a paralegal, and I'm licensed in the state of California to do those
Okay.
functions. But I don't have to hang my shingle and pay dues to the state bar and to
Yeah.
practice law. I'm already a member of the Beverly Hills Bar Association, and so it's like everything's got dues. The unions, the SAG studios got union dues. PGA's got dues.
Yeah.
The bars, like
Jeez.
so you could spend your whole day working just to pay your dues. The
Yeah.
Grammys have dues. Every guild has dues.
Yeah.
And there's perks and benefits that come with this. But what I was saying is that full circle is like most of my other peers that didn't want to go and work in a studio system wanted to go make their film. So they're like, hey, I can't wait to put my team together and make my film. I've got a script I want to direct. I've written it and I want to put it on screen. And I worked with them and we did those things. But I also just took the money. It's like, instead of my spending $40,000 to go shoot a short film, to go learn how the system works, I'm going to spend $40,000 and go travel and visit every major film festival in the world and see how they operate and who works in them and get to know those relationships with them. So I spent $40,000 and I went to Berlin, I went to Sundance, I went to South by Southwest, I went to Tribeca, TIFF, Cannes, and I got to know the programming teams and the program festival managers and learned how the system works
Yeah.
and what films are appropriate for what festivals. So I have a friend who does a film festival class, but he uses the term spray and pray, which what most people do is they make their film and they spray that Sundance is going to give them a shot and pray
Yeah.
that they get in. Meanwhile, they've spent $3,000 to $6,000 in festival fees trying
Yeah.
to be spray and pray that they get in
Yeah.
without even knowing the strategy. Like, is my film even appropriate for this festival?
Yeah. So I think when we met, you had two films in the same festival, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You had two. Maybe it wasn't the festival we were at currently, but I
No.
think you had two films in the or some film festival, and I was like, okay, I have a hard enough time getting one film into one festival,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I often have multiple films in the same festival.
Yeah. So,
I've done
you
the
did.
festival circuit for 10 years. And
Yeah.
I
You've
don't
been.
spray and pray. I know how. And I work with teams that
Yeah.
wanted to spray and pray, and I just have to allow them to go that route. It's just like knowing, it's like, if we have raised $6,000 to spend on our festival run, and we got 2 years to spend that $6,000, we'll do your spray and pray and spend $3,000, and then we'll come back with a strategy and spend the other $3,000 and get some results.
Yeah. So you produce short films, feature films,
Documentaries, series, everything you can think of.
So somebody who, like yourself, who has produced feature films, finance films, get that stuff made, and gets them into festivals. What is it about a short film that still makes you think, oh, I want to work on that? Because a lot of times when I'm talking about the next thing I do, I'm sort of in my mind psychologically moved away from wanting to make short films anymore because you don't get generically you don't get a whole lot out of them except proof of concept maybe from time to time. What do you because you seem undiscerning. You seem like, yeah, short film, feature film, would just do whatever. Is it just the creative process that
Well,
you're addicted
I
to?
would push back on that.
Okay.
As a filmmaker, you know how hard it is to make a film.
Yeah.
So why would you discount that, knowing that it's so hard, regardless if it's a documentary, a short film, a proof of concept, or a feature?
Yeah.
You still are putting in the work.
Yes. You are
And in
still
order
doing
to
that.
sell yourself and move to the next level of skill, you've got to have something. You have to have a
Yeah.
resume. You have to have a body of work.
Yeah.
And if your body of work is 12 short films and a
Oh.
documentary, that's your body of work.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you on that. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean that. I wasn't shitting on short films.
Okay.
But no, I totally wasn't because we have two short films we're working on right now. It's like it's not. I'm not against short films, but what is it? What is it that makes you say this? I'm going to produce this short film. Is it just the idea that you fall in love with and you say, let's get that done, or
Any film you do, you have to fall in love with.
yeah,
Any film. You don't just go make a film to make a film. Everybody has to be passionate about the film, and particularly the producers, because they are the first ones on and the last ones off. They
Yeah.
are the guardians of that subject matter. So
yeah,
I've got films I've shot 4, 5, 6 years ago that I'm still pushing, promoting, talking about,
yeah,
pumping up, that are part of my legacy that lives far beyond. But
yeah.
the camera people and the light people have moved on to other projects and done their
Moved
thing.
on,
They get
yeah.
care. They got their check and they've moved on. But
Yeah.
I'm responsible for getting it out there, and that's why if you're into the gig work or the gig economy, you're coming in, you're doing your job, you're shooting your film, and you're moving on to the next thing because it's you want to get paid.
Yeah.
And that's one reason to be in this, and you like being around this activity of being on set
Yeah,
and the flurry and the energy that goes with it, and that's good. But for me, a film, I have to be passionate about it because it's gonna reside with me for probably 3 to 5 years.
yeah, yeah. You have to find a way. Yeah, I mean, it's like being married to somebody. Some days you wake up
Exactly.
and you don't want to look that film in the face anymore, but tomorrow you love it again. It's one of those. It's one of those
Yeah,
things you
but
gotta.
you have a responsibility, and same thing
Yeah.
as a feature.
Yeah.
Just because your feature shot, it's gone and done a festival run and it's been distributed, but you're still responsible to all your investors and all your support team that helps profit from what that thing going on years after.
I was
I
just
think-
thinking
What?
our last film is like the one I don't want to introduce to
Right.
my parents.
Right.
Kind of like on the down low.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we made a foul-mouthed, vulgar comedy, and he's sort of like, how am I going to show this to my parents?
Yeah. It's like you don't want to bring that film to Thanksgiving dinner.
But it is our calling card. It's like the one thing it's the feature film we made, and we lived like you. We lived through it. We lived with it for several years, like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Before it even got premiered.
And now it's the X. It's one of our X's, and now
Yeah.
we're on to our new.
Yeah.
We're engaged.
Yeah, we're still friends, but we have broken up with the movie. 'Cause
Yeah.
we moved on to the next one. Yeah,
We're engaged to our next
But-
one.
You mentioned financing. Do you go out and look for investors for short films?
Sure.
Okay. How do you convince those? Not convince. What's your process on investing for a short film, because it's so much harder for them to make money?
Yeah. Do you have to start with your friends and family every time and bug them first? Because that's kind of a process we're having to.
Yeah.
Well, people
Start
aren't
with.
investing in your film; they're investing in you.
Right. Yeah.
That's the
Hopefully,
bottom line.
yeah.
This whole industry is all relationship based.
Yeah.
I was at a holiday party last night in a room full of well-to-do people. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And
okay.
and it really wasn't about me asking them to open their wallet. It was really about me. They know what I do, and
Yeah.
they can engage with you with how they want to engage me with what I'm doing or what I'm working on. They know I'm a filmmaker. They
Yeah.
know I'm a
Okay.
musician. They, do they want to buy my record, or do they want to, invest in my film, or do they want to just watch my film?
Yeah.
It's up to them to participate and where they're at. And it's really what the subject matter and the topic of your project is,
Hmm.
because it may not resonate with them. I have a group that I meet with weekly, and I have somebody that's definitely into the faith-based genre,
Yeah.
and she feels strongly about it. And it's like, well, I've never done a faith-based film. I've worked initially on a faith-based film that didn't go
Yeah.
where it was.
Yeah.
But that's a specific genre, and it's just like, well, I just need to meet XYZ because she's a financial person. She has a lot of money, and her husband's a mega director producer. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, maybe you want to rethink this and think about what church you go to, what sorority you go to, and what communities you can get on board and bring attention to yourself and what you do. And she also has an Emmy. And so one of the other directors, who's a friend of mine, suggested that she take herself and go into the speaking circuit with all that church community and be a keynote speaker. It doesn't have to be paid. She just has to be visible so that people can know what she does. And then when she does her keynote, she does her presentation, she brings a trailer or a slide of some of her work and set her Emmy award right on the trophy, on the stand on the podium while she's doing her keynote.
Yeah. So is she having trouble getting financing, or is this something she's?
Yeah, well, everybody is. Everybody that's going out is like, that's the holy grail. How do I get the money? And it goes back to being relationship based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird because, like I mentioned, we have a guy that's been helping us, like a coach. We have a consulting producer coach, and it is so much of the barriers we have to push through to like get to the point where you're just is mental. It's like they're mental blocks. Not wanting to bother your friends and family again for money, or even like how am I gonna? I don't know anybody who could give me $10,000 to make a movie. By the way, and I need to do that 10 times because I need $100,000. But so much of it is just not talking yourself out of it, and just being open to again, talking to that random guy sitting outside, just to get used to talking about it in a way that it's a thing. It's not you trying to do something, because Stephen Pressfield has that. I don't know. Do you know The War of Art?
Yes.
Yeah, The War of Art. He's got that thing about turning pro. You have to act like a professional. You have to be professional about it, which means you have to be on pro. You have to be pro. You have to have your pro turned on all the time. You can't just be pretending at it, or you'll fuck it up. You won't get there. It won't happen.
And I would add that the bigger the hurdle, the bigger the reward.
Yeah. This is the resistance. That's the resistance.
If you have a big hurdle and you have a big mountain to climb, you still got to climb that mountain regardless. And once you get there, your reward is going to be big. But if you just have a little hurdle and you climb it, you're going to get a little reward. And sometimes we look for fast and quick and easy wins, and that's not necessarily the case. I mean, even the biggest of pros, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, Robert De Niro, these guys spend close to 5 to 10 years developing a film before it gets released.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks it's an overnight success, and nobody knows it's been 5 years of work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's astonishing to me to hear the story that Spielberg struggled to get Lincoln made. Daniel Day-Lewis and Steven Spielberg. It's a no-brainer. He almost didn't get it made. He was going to do it at HBO or something, and Scorsese with his The Irishman, which he wanted, I guess, wanted to make a 4-hour movie.
Right.
And it's hard to do that, but you think Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg, why would they even? You think people would throw money on, which I think is why Netflix throws money at Scorsese, because we just want to to associate with Scorsese. Also, so let's give him what he wants. It
was the package and the body of the work that convinced them what they could do, because everybody's looking at what the bottom line is. We can throw money at it, but we got to make money back. And what is that funnel going to look back that we're going to get a return on? Nobody's throwing money at you without a glimmer of hope or some kind of reflection on how that waterfall is going to come back to me.
Yeah. Our
And that's the
coach.
difference between investors and supporters. The
Yeah.
term investors is thrown around way too much in film and TV. I got to
Yeah.
get investors. I get investors.
Yeah.
Well, do you have an investor deck? Do you even know what the world of private equity is like? Or do you know what a Reg A is like?
Yeah.
No, most people don't even know what that world is. They have no idea. They
Yeah.
want to do the sexy parts of film and not the work.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and as a producer, a working active producer, I have to look at that.
Yeah. It goes all the way down to people see us working on something or writing something, and people are like, hey, when are we going to write together? I'm like, I write pretty much every day, every week.
Yeah.
And by the way, I work on it hours and hours and hours. It means I don't go to this party or that party or that but people do as soon as they start to realize how much work goes or time has to be committed to it, they start not like, where's that guy? I must have lost my number. Produced a short film about a decade ago with somebody who wanted to produce, and they barely made it. It's an 8-minute short film. They barely made it through the whole process without without totally just vanishing, disapparating, because it's a lot of work. And we were just two guys trying to get a little film made. I like that part of it. I think I talked to Brad a lot about there's almost like this. I did not realize how much of a puzzle person I was. I like figuring out the problem and the crisis management part of
That's one of my favorite parts.
Well, that just makes you a good producer because you know how to problem solve.
Yeah, and I don't know if I haven't quite mastered it yet, but I don't know if that I grew into that person or if I always have been that person. I'm only just now in the last few years realizing it.
I think it's learned behavior from the tech school we went to and all the botched productions that we had to try to save.
Some of the people we worked with.
Production.
Yeah.
I've got cabinets full of hard drives of films that will never see the light of day.
Yeah, me too. Maybe not cabinets, but I've got. There's a weird phase. There's about 10 years ago, I sort of shifted and I know what kind of filmmaker I want to be, but everything I made before that, you're not ever gonna see. It was everything I've made since then. I've been I feel comfortable getting behind that thing, but yeah, stuff that will never see the light of day because
except in a documentary.
Yeah, it's sad. I've got a couple of documentaries that I'm still working on, and they've had various fits and starts, and it's just kind of like their circumstances, and it's I know how to shoot it. I'm working with great crews. The production value is beautiful, and the execution is right on. It's just the circumstances aren't right. And I've got the fiscal sponsorship. I've done other things, and I'm working with Sundance, and I'm a part of the collaborative. So I have all the heavy hitters on there, and it's still a major lift. But it's kind of like you can write all the grants you want and be prepared and have the structure sit there. But if the money's not there, you're not going to get the funding. So this will go back in the funding thing we're talking about. It's how I divide my strategy, as we all should, is instead of looking for one-shot bullets to have the bucket of money that you may make your film, I like to divide it by a pie. And just 20% is going to come from crowdfunding. So if my budget is $500,000, then 20% of that is what it's going to be the goal for my crowdfunding campaign. And then that number is huge, but then that means I got to back plan 6 months out for what my campaign strategy is going to be to raise that 20% and be successful. And then from that, I can go and use that successful crowdfunding campaign and money that I've raised to go to my other people and say, hey, I've already got X amount of dollars that I've brought in myself through crowdfunding to support this effort. And then you've invited everybody else to be a part of your journey through crowdfunding. Yeah. And crowdfunding is hard. Crowdfunding is really hard.
It's hard. It's hard. And you're talking about 20% of 500,000 is a couple $100,000 there. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to raise 10,000, let alone.
Yeah, exactly. And you just have to know that. So it's either you got to get a second job and work graveyard somewhere and just put that cash into what your project is going to be, or you got to work smart. It's do you want to work smart or do you want to work hard? And
So when we met, you like gave me this quick little, I wouldn't call it a speech. We were just talking about film financing. You're like, and you
Yeah,
mentioned the crowdfunding. You had it like a piece, like a pie,
yeah,
and like, could you talk about that a little bit, like your process of the financing
sure.
elements?
Every project I've ever done, I've crowdfunded. I've crowdfunded before there was even crowdfunding.
Yeah,
So, all my segue into film was through music.
yeah, okay,
So back in the 2000s, this was 2000. This was
okay,
after the millennium. I had crowdfunded my first full length album. I'd
okay,
always played bands. I'd released EPs. I'd done covered, but I was releasing my solo record, my first one that I had written with my name solely on it. It's not a band project. It's my name, my Reverie, the whole marbles. And so people were supporting me. They weren't supporting the music, whether they didn't know what the genre of music was. They assumed
mhm,
that I was a blues artist or a jazz artist or an R&B artist. And my album was anything but that. I mean, there was elements, of course, I've lived around the world, so those kind of things seep into my music.
yeah,
But you know, I was able to put together, and I was like, I need to raise, I think it was $10,000 for this record,
yeah.
and that was a lot of money. But
That was
I
before
actually,
GarageBand because studio time's expensive. GarageBand, you
really,
can probably spend half that in gear and do something at your house.
oh sure. Well,
Yeah,
this space now is all is this used to be a garage,
yeah,
and this is now my office. It's now soundproof, and my last record was pretty much recorded right in this room.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. But I had to write letters and emails telling people what my vision is. So
Yeah,
it's like when I went to grad school, it's like when you're writing a paper at school, you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, then you
yeah.
tell them what you told them.
I say it every week. I teach high school TV production. I've interrupted you a couple times, but I
That's
tell
okay.
them, I'm telling Becca Meyer, I have to write this essay, and I'm like, essays are easy. You just bullshit your way through it. You tell them something, then you tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you, then tell them
What you told them.
and then you tell them what you told them, and then you just like find different ways to say the thing and back up what you're saying. And they look at me like I'm speaking a foreign language, but I'm
Yeah.
really like writers are just bullshit artists. They
Yeah.
just, I mean, there are some bullshit artists are better than others.
Yeah.
That's why we have like Aaron Sorkin versus like that writer we've never heard of before. But
Yeah.
anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's really what it is, and it's kind of defining what your plan is. So here's what my plan is, Michael. I am planning to make a film on this subject matter regarding these things. It's
Hmm.
a really great experience I had. I look forward to sharing with you, whatever the case may be. Or I'm going to release a little music. I want to keep my trademark intact, so I have to, in order to hold my trademark, I need to release more music, to keep my brand active. Whatever your reasoning is for creating the project in the first place. It's like,
Hmm.
I want to join the guild, so I need to make 3 to 5 feature films to get accepted into the Directors Guild or the Producers Guild.
Yeah.
I have to have so many acting credits to be in SAG-AFTRA. Therefore, I need to create this short film starring myself as a vehicle to get
Hmm.
me into the Screen Actors Guild. Or
Yeah.
I want to be a part of the Recording Academy and be eligible for Grammy. So therefore, I have to do X number of records and release them across the world in these platforms. So you're giving everybody the overall arc of what your goal is. Now, and then you go back and say, okay, this is the breakdown of what this journey is going to entail. It's going to take probably a year of my life, 6 months, 3 weeks, whatever it's going to take, and
Hmm.
this is what it's going to cost. You know, I would love to have you join me on this experience, and this will be a fun journey. And then, as an active member of this is what I'm going to give you in return. I'm going to give you a weekly update. I'm going to give you access to behind the scenes. I'm going to give you a sneak preview. I'm going to give you links in advance to my music videos or whatever you're going to give them. Because you're not just asking for something, you got to give them something back, and you got to give them something additional on top of what you told them you're going to give you. It's like, I always give bonus material. It's like, yeah, you're getting my CD, but for this project I have out now, the Redgate sessions, I knew what my vision was. It's like, I'm doing a concert in the pandemic, and this is how it came to life. And it started off as a musical exchange with another artist. I was going to cover his song. He was going to cover one of mine, and we were just going to videotape it. And then it morphed into like, I don't want to do it outside on the railroad tracks because of the noise. The film part of me wanted to control it. And then I want to like going and say, okay, I'm going to go and rent a studio in a controlled environment. And then the guy said, okay, well, you can rent this for, X $100 a day. And I'm like, great. Well, I don't need a whole day to record one song because it's a cover of somebody else's song. I'm going to do and integrate songs from my own catalog as well. And I'll take something from the beginning of my career, from the middle of my career, and the something that's current in my career, in addition to the song that I'm going to promote. And then I'm going to make a recording of it. I'm going to film it, and I'm going to make a CD. So for X number of dollars, you can come in and get the CD with your name on the credits. For the next level, you can get the CD with your name on the credits in the artwork and an IMDb credit.
Right.
And I kept, and then the next level is like, not only do you that, you get the A, B, C, and D, and then people can opt in at what level they want.
This was back in 2000 before crowdfunding even existed.
No, this is just last summer. I did this.
Oh, this is just last summer. Right. You were talking about the pandemic.
Yeah. So I'm going all over the place because this is just a current project. And so by telling people what I was going to do, and then telling them what I told them, and giving them the options, and then telling them what I told them, they knew that I was releasing a new CD. I was releasing a film. The film was going to be in the circuit, and then their name was going to be on IMDb. It was going to be in the credits of the film, and they got the copy of the artwork. And so as the project was going along, I had to mastered. And then I sent out the artwork, and I said, hey, this is my idea for the concept of the artwork. This is how your name is going to look. Did you like it? How do you want to correct it? Do you want to add something else? Do you want to change anything? So they were involved with the whole process as we went along. And then as that got done, I raised the money, paid for it in full. I think I was short $300. And I was like, okay, who can I call to get them to buy, a $10 CD? And he got the thing. And a friend of mine goes, oh, yeah, I'll help you out. Sure. I go, well, what level do you want? He goes, well, how much do you need to finish the project? I said, well, I need $300. He goes, well, I'll just Venmo you $300. And I was like, okay. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I said, well, what can I give you in return? He goes, well, whatever you want. What do you think's fair? I go, well, really, you're an executive producer because you're helping me finish the funding for this. He goes, yeah, that sounds great. So I go, I'll give you an executive producer credit on the film, IMDb, and boom. And then so I had some additional swag made. And so when I sent him the thing, I sent him the link. I sent him a CD. I sent him T-shirts. I sent him hats. I had all.
You just threw him everything, kitchen sink.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you just saved my bacon.
It's amazing because we were talking. One of the things I'm going to do. We're going to do different versions of it. Is like make a list of people's names and a system for contacting them and getting back with them and all that stuff. Just following up and things like that. And I'm realizing how much of it is necessary, but it's not necessary. Not necessarily for this film. It's for this film, the next film, whatever. Somebody can or can't help you out. This time, you've already set the groundwork for the next film or the next project.
Exactly.
And your list grows, and you got like 1,000 people on your list instead of right now I've got 50. So
exactly. And here's a segue on that. So not to cut you off, but I'm cutting you off.
No, go right ahead.
So through the funding and the crowdfunding, that was all through email. Email. Forget about posting and begging on Facebook. That's great if you want to build a new audience or engage people and take them along in your journey. But email is always going to be the direct way to communicate with people because we are hit with so much stuff. There's so much clutter out there. How do you break through? So if you have a direct relationship with somebody, they're going to read and respond to your email.
Yeah.
And by not just begging, they're like, oh, hey, I need to get my film. Can you support my film? It's like, no, here's what I am doing. This is my vision. And can you buy into my vision or find a way to help me support my vision?
Yeah.
And here's how I'm going to they remunerate you. And so as a result of that campaign, I have an email list of thousands.
Yeah.
And the majority of people that supported the project, I would say probably 3 to 5% were repeat supporters. And the other 98% were people that I've known for 20, 30 years that had never contributed or supported to one of my projects ever before.
Yeah.
They've been sitting back watching me continue to push through for a decade or two.
Yeah.
And finally decided to pull the trigger.
You finally convinced them you were committed to the to this thing.
Well, because they know that I deliver.
Yeah.
I keep my promise. They know that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to follow through. And if I can't follow through, I'm going to communicate what the obstacle was that is, or the roadblock that is holding me back from breaking through. And it's like, I haven't abandoned. I will continue. And I will not apologize for it. I will just explain. It's like, shit happens. Life happens while you're making plans.
Yeah.
And sometimes your plan doesn't come together. But if you plan properly and you tell people what you're going to tell them, then you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them what you told them, then they know what to expect. And it's managing people's expectations. That's always the case.
So if crowdfunding is 20%, where does the other 80% of financing come from?
And this depends on the type of film that you're doing or the type of project you're doing. So if you're doing a documentary, another 20% could come through grants.
Yeah.
Another 20% could come through sponsorships. Another 20% could come from private equity. Another 20% could come from anything.
Yeah. Donations. Yeah.
Well, crowdfunding is a donation.
Yeah, crowdfunding. Right. You mentioned crowdfunding.
But a sponsorship, it's like, hey, like the Crown Royal. I use that example, but I did a film, feature film, and we got all of our alcohol sponsored because the film took place in a bar. And one of our producing team went on and established all their relationships with the big alcohol manufacturers. So it was like Stone Brewing.
Yeah.
And then the parent company for an alcohol company. And then Jameson Irish whiskey was a prop, but it was also a part of the script. And it's an integral part of what the main character possessed and coveted.
Yeah.
And so they saw the script and they saw it. It's like, okay. And then we had a priest, we had these, and so we checked with the whether there's a diocese or whoever, how that Jameson reference could be used, whether the priest could be in any scenes or associated. You work those things out. But then not only did they give us the Jameson, they gave us all the other alcohol, liquor, Kettle One, Crown Royal, to go in the shelves behind the bar to make up that bar scene.
Did you do a film in a bar just so you could get alcohol donated?
It wasn't even in a bar. It was a studio. We made the bar.
Yeah, Jameson. That's the film I want to work on. I like Jameson whiskey.
So just knowing. Yeah. So if we would have spent that part of our budget, that was part of our budget for the film, that buying all that stuff and having that stuff in there was part of the budget. Yeah. But that was all donated. So just you stripped out that part of the budget. It's like, okay, here's $20,000 that we didn't have to spend because we got all this stuff donated. And in the meantime, we got to invite the parent company and the brewing company and the manufacturer who gave us the taps, the handles that go on the beer taps. Yeah. All that stuff was all donated. That was by me going out and making relationships with my local brewery and saying, hey, I'm doing this film and I'm looking for some beer taps. I'm not looking for beer. I just want to use some handles, and we're going to give you promotion to promote your film through social media and these ways by allowing us to use your handles.
Yeah.
Because all that stuff has to be cleared in order to sell your film. And that's the part of the chain of title that people dismiss. It's kind of like establishing what every piece of paper and how it fits in line, what's going to go to the distributor. So there's no liability and no illegality with clearing it in order to sell to the distributor, because they got to have clearance. They don't want to get sued.
Right. So you're walking down the road one day, you meet some kid that goes, hey, you're Marvin Glover. You produced that thing. I want to make a movie. What do you tell that person if you had 2 minutes? If you had 5 minutes with that person, where do you tell them to start? How do you what's the advice you give as somebody who's clearly been doing this for?
Well, that has happened to me actually, and I could give you a real life example, and I won't name their name, but I was for my birthday. I had been given a gift to go to the Greek Theater to see Hall and Oates, Gerald Hall and John Oates, and so while standing in line to get my ticket, I was having a conversation, and this person identified me and said exactly what you're saying. Hi, I want to get in film. What's my avenue? I said, well, here's my card. Send me an email and just say how we met. And so she in turn, we stayed in touch. And then she says, well, I would like to invite you to a concert at the Troubadour to see Caught in a Ghost. That's what it was. And so Caught in a Ghost is a kind of an alternate band, but it's the lead singer her name is Tessa Thompson, or Tessa Thompson, who you would know from Thor Ragnarok,
Oh, Ragnarok, yeah.
Men in Black.
Okay.
So this is just right as her ascent. So I was given a ticket. I went there and got to meet her and hang out at the bar and do all that stuff. And then I, in turn, was working on this film, Lost Call at Murray's, and the one in the bar. And I was like, hey, I'm crewing up, and I have this opportunity for you. So if you'd like, I have a project you can come on, and I can give you a part or a role as a part of the crew. And would you be interested? And she did, and so she's continued to soar on there, and she's worked on several other films that I've done.
Okay.
So that's how it happened.
Your advice is just to do the thing,
do the thing. Yeah. Because some people are behind the scenes, some people are in front of the scenes, some people are shy, some people are outgoing, and it really just be yourself, do you. And if you're outgoing and we connect and we resonate, and I have an opportunity, then I have no problem with giving you the opportunity. Somebody gave me the opportunity to learn, so why would I not give somebody else the opportunity to learn?
We comment on this. Brad and I talk about this a lot, and I've said it a lot on the show. Is the amazing to me at all the things you have to be good at, or you have to learn how to do, so you can be a filmmaker. When I first started, I was like, I want to, be Martin Scorsese or Tarantino. Some of us sit down and write a script. I had to learn how to write a script, which made sense to me. You have to learn how to write. So you study, you read, you watch, you listen, all that stuff. Then you go off and you make a shitty film because you have never done it before. You make a shitty film, whether you've gone to school or not. But then once you get that down, you're like, I can write, I can shoot, and understanding that you never stop learning. Hopefully you do it better next time. But then there's the like the process you just explained about crowdfunding or putting a film together. That process, that system of raising money didn't exist when, what was it, 2008 or something, when Kickstarter became like a thing. You have to learn how to do that. Then that meant we kind of all had to be, then Instagram and all that stuff, that meant we all had to become somehow our own little PR machines. Also something that a lot of creative people don't necessarily excel at. They just kind of want to hide in the dark room and write and make their stuff, but we have to get better at it. That is the block that I have always had, really, is like talking about myself or walking up to somebody and saying, hey, or sending an email saying, hey, we're working on this thing. We love it. You may remember me from 15 years ago, still trying to get films made, still working on that thing. It is not the ego, the braggadocious thing that I feel like it is. You're just trying to get your shit. You're trying to put the pieces together.
You're just taking people on your journey.
Yeah.
I think about it as I post stuff because I was always, I felt like it was egotistical. I felt I was being braggadocious. And it's like, no, I'm not. If you go to any of my social media, it's not braggadocious, and it's certainly not politically charged or personally charged. It's kind of like I'm just taking you along with a day in my life.
Yeah.
Whether it's sailing on a boat or whether it's climbing a mountain or if it's going to a premiere, it's like, this is what I do. I am in the entertainment industry, and I make entertainment for people, whether it's visual or You
Yeah.
know, and
So
if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It's not a big deal. At the end of
yeah,
the day, it's really about me fulfilling my vision and what makes me happy.
yeah,
I create content.
yeah. And if you don't like it, you go make your own thing.
Right. And
Right? Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that have bought my records that have never even played them, but they bought them because they're supporting me.
Yeah, what's that thing? I don't care if you read the book. I just want you to buy it.
Yeah.
Some author. I can't. It's a famous author quote. I don't want you to. I don't care if you read the book or not. I just want you to buy it.
Yeah.
So where do if people want to get in contact with you? I'm sorry, I meant to ask you. Do you work with clients or do you like
Yeah.
consult
Yeah.
with
Yeah. I
people? Like,
consult. Yeah. I
yeah.
definitely consult.
Do you take them on as clients or do you just like say, "Hey, I really like your project. I'm going to help you get that thing made. I'll produce it with you."
No, it really just depends on what the project is because, like as we talked about before, I really have to be passionate something to give.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I'm going to come on board and work with you, then it's going to be. It's not like a month or three. So many scenarios have come in like,
Yeah.
hey, come in for 5 days or five
Yeah.
hours, and it morphs into way more because there is way more. So if you want to consult with me, then we're like, okay, what's the parameter? What's the goal?
Yeah.
And let's figure out the terms. Just like if I have interns, and my interns, it's like it's not gonna ongoing thing. It's like, okay, we're gonna do an internship for 12 weeks. Here's the scope of what you're going to do, and then also here's what you're going to do for me and what you will learn in the process. But in the term, I'm also integrating what do you want to learn in your internship that I can provide, so that we are both getting a benefit from this.
Yeah.
And
Get
then we're
something.
going to apply that within a 12-week concept. And in the 12 weeks, this is the material and time that we are going to spend covering it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
There's an in and there's an out. So that's how a consultation thing would work. It's like,
Yeah.
what's the scope of what you need? Where if it's a an oversight, like a consulting producer or mentorship, then that's really time. And, time is your most precious commodity. And I can tell you, like, over the last 2 weeks, my time has been eaten up with things coming at me like literally a fire hose, people that want my time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's flattering, and I want to help them,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
makes me have to better manage. It's like, okay, like as we talked offline beforehand, I have to put the parameters, the guardrails, and it's like, okay, we're going to do this Monday through Friday. I need
Yeah.
time on the weekends because, I have a family, I have friends, I have I have life,
Yeah.
and so, I have to put those guardrails in. It's just kind of like, yeah, if I do something, it's going to be an emergency on the weekend. But otherwise, I'm not going to bother you and your family for spending time to go out on a hike or boating or hiking or seeing a concert 11 o'clock on Saturday night. I'm not going to be that disrespectful. And hopefully you won't be that disrespectful to me.
Yeah. Well,
And
hopefully.
yeah,
But you have to set up those boundaries because I work with teenagers. They function outside of regular business hours. You know
sure.
what I
And
mean?
I function honestly, and I do that as well. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, majority of films are done over weekend. But if you're doing a feature
Yeah.
film, you're working with the parameters of what the unions, the guilds. You can't
Mhm.
work 7 days shooting a film if it's a feature. And it's
Yeah.
a union film. It's just not. It's not legal. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
have to have a day off. Your crew has to have a rest. So if your cameraman is there for 12 hours on set, he needs to have 8-hour clock
Yeah.
before he comes back to set. So if you leave at 12 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock, then you got to push the start time back on your call sheet for the next day.
Yeah.
You can't start at 6 a.m. It's just not. And so that's the learning that you learn. Like I
Yeah.
said, this industry is so large and so vast. You can't know all the rules unless you've done it, and that's what separates the amateurs or beginners
Yeah.
from the pros. And
Yeah. Okay, so I was asking before I saw that little rabbit hole. Is like if somebody wants to find you, talk to you, where do you send them? Twitter, email,
yeah,
pro,
well,
Instagram. So it's pro.
LinkedIn is always good.
Okay, LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using LinkedIn more because that's where business is done. If you want to just see what I'm like and follow me in my journey and see what I'm up to,
Mhm.
then of course social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay.
Is it your name, like Marvin Glover?
Yep.
Marvin Glover.
I'm always the first early adapter to all the technology. So
Yeah,
marvinglover.com
yeah.
is my website, my Twitter, my
That's good.
Facebook. It's just like my name. And there are other Marvin Glovers in there, but I'm the
You're
probably
the Marvin Glover. You're the Marvin Glover. Yeah.
Yeah, I am the
Yeah.
Marvin Glover. If
Yeah.
you Google Marvin Glover, 95%
That's you.
of the
That's
Yay.
you. That's you. Yeah.
if you search me on Instagram, it's 95%. I cover that space. But I've been doing it,
Yeah.
and this is what I do. This is just a part of my. It's not a matter that I'm trying to be visible. It's just what I do. I am now a public figure, but I'm also a private citizen.
Yeah.
So, I get to learn.
I think it's good that at least I may not always be the early adopter technologically. I like that stuff, but I'm the first one in my family, so I always get at Beckemeyer. Nobody ever wants at Beckemeyer except so it's always me. It's easy. I'm the one name. I'm down to one name now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have my production company is C-Sand Entertainment.
Okay.
My parent company for my publishing, my podcast, my record label is Glover Communications and Productions. And then my record label publishing company is called Starving Dog Records. There you go. Starving Dog Records. There you go.
There you go. Didn't even know you were self-representing. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, did you just say you have a podcast? Do you have a podcast?
Yeah, it's called Barks and Sounds.
Okay. I don't think I knew that. Okay. I'll check you out. What's on your podcast?
It's focused on the entertainment industry. So it's really about the guests more so than me, such as this. So in my first episodes, I think the first 5 episodes are I bridge the gap between music and film. And so I've done interviews with people that I've worked with in the creative industry, such as David Tutserone, who is a 2-time Grammy-winning engineer, and he produced my first EP. And so since that time we've worked together, he's gone on to be a Grammy-winning engineer, and we're still friends. And
Nice.
And then another one is with a gentleman named Hans Decline, and he's a filmmaker and director, and he has been a live touring photographer for several part of his years before he became a filmmaker. And so he has worked with people like Dolly Parton.
Okay, so I've heard of her a couple times.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of projects. He filmed and recorded and photographed Dolly's performance in London. I think it was at the Royal Albert Hall. So he did that, and then he did a film called Hired Gun. Which it's on Amazon. So it's about his career and how he's worked with people ranging from the Billy Joel crew to the John Cougar Mellencamp crew to the Alice Cooper crew, and about all the backing musicians that back all those major players up. So that's on Amazon. So I'm going to plug up to him. So those are kind of the themes. And then some of them are like actors that I've worked with that have gone into the producers, So anybody
Barks and Sounds.
Barks and Sounds, yeah.
Barks and Sounds, okay.
And we're going to have a big launch. So we've recorded, I think, 7 episodes so far. So once, my goal was to launch at 5, and then that's it. Called Barks and Sounds.
Great. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you clearly have some things figured out, because you clearly treat people well, like in your relationships and stuff, because otherwise you wouldn't have all those people that that you can call on, or the people you've worked with in the past, like 20 years ago, who will still come talk to you. So I think that, like you said at the very beginning, I can't remember if you said that to us or if you said it when we first started recording.
Right, it's relationships. Everything's for a relationship. How do I get this? Relationship. How do I get this? I build a relationship. And everybody's like, let me go in for the kill. Let me get, it's like, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Like, we got to date for a while. We got to feel each other out. We're not going to go all the way yet until, we get comfortable with each other,
Right. All right. Well, we really appreciate you talking to us. I like your no nonsense, like straightforward stuff, and you clearly know what you're talking about. We really appreciate you taking time on a Saturday after we infringed upon your weekend time. I really apologize for that.
I'm glad to do it. Like I said, cool. When I met you, I was immediately, I liked you, and I'm glad that you reached out and asked me to be part of this, because I'm happy to be part of your show.
That is why I went to the film festival without Brad.
I would have ruined it.
Brad, where the hell were you?
He was. I think he was sick.
Being
He
antisocial.
wasn't.
No,
yeah,
I was sick.
Yeah, you were
yes.
sick. You were
Yeah.
sick. Anyway. So if you want to get in contact with us, we're at filmreverypodcast@gmail.com. You can hit me on
Yeah.
Twitter, Instagram at Beckemeyer. He's the balding Ewok.
Oh, I did the wrong lower third. There you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
He's
There you
Beckham
go.
everywhere. I'm balding Ewok.
Yeah. And our website is smuentertainment.com, where right now you can see our feature film on there for free.
Yeah.
Through our YouTube channel.
SMU stands for Super Mega Ultra. You can see on the
Clearly, yeah, super mega ultra.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, well, thank you for your time. We hope to talk to you soon. Good luck.
right,
Namaste.
gentlemen.
I'm doing the namaste nod right
Yeah,
there.
namaste.
And have a good holiday season. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Take
All right,
care.
Bye. All right, did you end the broadcast, Brad? I'm sitting here talking. All right, cool.